So today I'm going to take you through PATGuard 3, how to set it up, how to use the basic functions, and how to get up and running with PATGuard 3 quickly. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm just going down to the Start menu and open up PATGuard 3. And here it asks for the username and the password. And there's a little hint there, if you haven't set a password, leave the box blank. So just remember that if you haven't put a password in there, just leave the box blank and you'll be fine. So I'll just OK that. And select PATGuard Elite. And hopefully we're in. So I'll just maximise that to full screen. So we've got PATGuard. And initially when you normally start PATGuard, you've probably got the Seaward standard database in there. So there's sort of a bit of a sample database for you to play about with. So that's the sort of standard starting point really there. So you may have those things on. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start off now and go through the ins and outs of PATGuard and actually just show you really how things work and get started. So the first thing is with PATGuard, obviously we've got various screens. We've got the viewing pane on this side, we've sort of got the navigation window here, we've got the various options. Generally on here we're probably going to be doing most of the work in the PAT testing screen, but obviously we may need to go into instruments or reports or those sort of things as well. So we start off in the PAT testing screen. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to look at the databases. PATGuard is basically an application for viewing PATGuard databases. And PATGuard databases are just an MDB file, a Microsoft database file. So it's just a Microsoft Access database, and in the same way that you would open Word files with Microsoft Word or Excel files with Microsoft Excel, PATGuard opens PATGuard database files, .mdb files. Now the .mdb file, what you can see here is we've actually got this database open at the moment, and you can see the path to the database. So we can see it's on my C drive, in Program Data, Seaward, PATGuard 3, and it's called demo database.mdb. Now to just show you that file, if I actually just go down to Explorer, and again I just follow to the path that we've just talked about there, so C, Program Data, and Seaward. What you'll see on there, we've got the PATGuard 3 file, and there's my database. So in there is my Microsoft Access database. So these database files are just a simple Microsoft Access database, and you can actually access these files and you can look at the raw data. They're not encrypted in any way, it's there, and in fact some of our customers actually do access the databases directly with certain forms and queries and things like that. So there is that level of integration you can have there, but you've basically got your database file. Your database file is all the information you need. So your database file actually keeps all of the PAT information in there. PATGuard is the application that runs and operates the database, but all your database information is in that file. Just in the same way that all your writing in a Word document stays inside your Word file and Microsoft Word opens it for you, exactly the same with the PATGuard database. Now, with the PATGuard database, the database is key. That is your critical application. So what's very important is when you actually set this database system up, if I just close this down now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a new database from scratch. So if I go New Database, then basically what it asks me is where would I like to store this new database. Now it's very important that we store this in a location that's backed up by our IT department, or that we carry out regular backups of this database ourselves, because obviously if we lose the database, all your PAT testing information is gone and we don't want that. So I'm just, in my case now, I'm just going to store it in my documents, and I'm just going to call it Seaward database. So if I save that, there we go. You can see now that my path has changed to Seaward database.mdb, and we've created this .mdb file. So with the database now, what I need to do is we've basically got a blank database here for me to start off creating my information within, creating my structure. So the very first thing is, once we've got a database, Seaward make these things all nice and easy for you. There's a setup menu. So if I just click setup, basically it brings me up a little wizard to go through, and I can actually set up all the things that I need to get right to set up my database. Now, most of these have been preset up in advance. I've preset these in advance, but obviously you would tailor these to your company. So the first thing is your company name, address, postcode, telephone number, fax number, email address. It is important that you fill all these details in, because actually this information is used in some of the reports and things like that. So if you do leave these boxes blank, you might have big gaps on the reports and think, why is that big gap there? Generally it's because that information hasn't been included. Now we can also, for the reports, we can also have our logo. So we need a .jpg file, a JPEG file of our logo, and all we simply do is browse to where the logo is on our computer, and we basically select the file, and from there, so we can select the file that we want, and we OK that, and that will put the path in there. When we get onto reports later on, you'll actually see more about where these logos fit in and how the logos actually fit in on the reports, but it is important that we set that up there so we've got the right logo. Again, just for completeness, VAT and company reg information. More information we can get on those forms, the better. So the next thing is user accounts. Now in user accounts, we've basically usually got one user account set up, and that account is admin. Now if I want to, I can add an account, and I can add a password if I want to. In this case I'm not going to add a password, but we can password protect it, and then I can select which level of user I want to be. Do I just want to be able to view and add, view, add, edit, view, add, edit, setup, or the full admin user, which is view, add, edit, delete setup? So I'm going to give myself all those permissions and OK that. So next time if I log in, I can log in as Kevin rather than admin, and then obviously all the things that I do will be stored under my name rather than admin user. So you can set your users up just in that way. It's quite quick and easy. We can delete users as well if we want. So user administration is quite a straightforward process. The next is the PAT Options tab. Now the PAT Options tab, this is quite important because this actually ties in with how your PAT tester works. On your PAT tester you will see that there's options for how you use your comment text lines. So on your PAT tester you will have 4 comment text lines. So when you put a comment in at the end of your test, there's 4 lines there, and you get the options to how you set up or what those particular lines are used for. What you've got to be very careful of is that whatever you set up on the PAT tester, you set up the same options here in PATGuard. So in this case I've got comment line 1 set to the asset description, so kettle, toaster, food mixer, and I've got 3 lines 2, 3 and 4 are all set to notes. So if that's what I've got on my tester, asset description, notes, 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 that's what I need on here. Now if on my tester I've got maybe make and model in there, I need to make sure that I've got make and model set up on here, because when I do a download, this is the pigeonhole that it will post it into. These are the fields that it will actually post that data into. And if I'd got it wrong, for example, if I'd got make and model reversed, what could happen is that it would put the make in the model field and the model in the make field. So it's always important just to make sure that we've set that up exactly the same as the PAT tester that we're downloading, to make sure that the correct items are put in the right field. Now there's another feature on here. This was more common with our older PAT testers. What we can use is we can use these short or abbreviation codes. So potentially if I turn on the abbreviation codes, I can add a code in here, and I could put in, for example, TOA represents the word toaster. So if PATGuard sees in the download, in the asset description field, if it sees the term TOA, it will automatically change that to the word toaster. So it is possible to put these ones in, so I could potentially just add another one in there. Ket means kettle, for example. Now, this was more useful on the older pat testers where typing in was quite difficult, and just being able to type 3 letters and have PATGuard convert it was quite a useful function. With the more modern pat testers with drop-down menus and better keyboards and things like this, the function isn't really widely used nowadays, but it's on there because obviously some of our customers still use that setup. Now, the final tab on here that we've got is asset groups. Now, asset groups gives us the ability to actually change things like the frequencies and stuff for asset groups. So we've got the normal predefined asset groups, the ones that are generally included in the IET code of practice. So, for example, offices and shops. And we've got on here handheld, IT, movable, portable, stationary, class 1, class 2. So if I went for, say, class 1 IT equipment in an office, on here we've basically got the frequencies set up to the standard values that are set up from start in PATGuard. Now, if you decided your company policy was slightly different and you wanted to change these, we can just go in and we can change these to the values that we actually want and save that, and that will change those frequencies. So asset groups basically gives us the ability to add items or assign items to an asset group, and then we can change the asset group and it will change the frequencies of all the items that are assigned to that asset group. Now, we have got the ability as well on here to add our own items, so we can have an undefined one there. So if I wanted to add, say, a group for vending machines, so if I was adding one class in for vending machines, so we've got class 1, 230 volts, and we decided, my company, on a risk assessment basis, we were going to do 24 months, make sure that's on months not years, and the visual was 12. So if I OK that, we've actually now set up a separate asset group for vending machines, and obviously I could tie that in with my company risk assessment, and if I wanted to, actually I could even put the risk assessment number in there, so that could be risk assessment 0001, which actually decided that we were going to do 24 and 12 months. Again, I can put that in, which makes that nice and clear, and we can see exactly how those things tie in. So this is the setup menu, and it's like I say, it's really a quick start sort of menu. So we go through company details, user accounts, PAT options, and asset groups. So by setting all those things up, it really gives us a flying start into using PATGuard. So that's always a good place to start with those.